All right, welcome to Unit 9. This unit will be talking about the expanded core curriculum. It is a 2-week unit, so we'll be doing a couple of activities and having some fun. First of all, happy Halloween. It's Halloween week, and I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, so I will be torturing you with a Halloween-themed PowerPoint presentation. Hope you don't mind. And a somewhat spooky video. So how did Unit 8 go? I thought it was great. For the discussion, I asked you to research an additional disability and how someone with a visual impairment and that additional disability might present. This is very, very important. As a teacher of the visually impaired, the vast majority of students we work with will have an additional disability, and we will be asked to add on a label to our students. I've been asked several times, does your student have autism? Does your student have a significant learning disability? Does your student have, there's any number of additional disabilities that I've been asked to help with the assessment of my student. And our job is to make sure that the assessments that other service providers, including school psychologists, other SPED teachers, classroom teachers, make sure all those assessments are adapted and the assessment accommodations are put in place. And so it can be very, very tricky. So it's important that we not only know visual impairment, but we know the characteristics of other disabilities as well. Overall, the discussion is great. I think it was Amy that brought up that assessments are not normed for children with visual impairments, and that's absolutely true. So it is, again, up to the TVI to make those accommodations and make sure that the assessments are as appropriate as possible. Because adding a label to a student is a very, very serious business. It's something we really need to think about. Overall, I thought it was a great discussion. You guys had a lot of interesting things to say. A lot of you talked about deaf blindness is one of my interests, and it's one of my interests because as a teacher of the visually impaired, I had a lot of kids on my caseload, quite a few. I think my first year I had 5, and that's a lot for a TVI. And I thought, okay, I just figured out visual impairment, and now I have to figure out hearing loss. How am I supposed to work with these kids if they can't hear me? Deaf blindness is definitely an interest of mine simply because it was a struggle. And, I think as teachers of the visually impaired, we need to know, where do we get this information? And so I was really happy to know that many of you researched deaf blindness and shared your information. The one thing about deaf blindness, it is very under-identified. And I'm working on a research project right now, and I'm interviewing teachers of the deaf and teachers of the visually impaired about how they identify deaf blindness. And there are so many kids on our caseloads that have a visual impairment and a hearing impairment, but no one has put together that the hearing loss and the visual impairment make deaf blindness. And so because they don't have that deaf blind label, they're not counted. So it's really great for you guys to know that you're getting information on deaf blindness very early on in your education, and that in your career, when you see a student with a visual impairment and hearing loss, make sure that they have that label, because they need to be counted. We need to have accurate numbers in deaf blindness. Another thing that's kind of tricky about additional disabilities is that a lot of the characteristics that distinguish one disability category can also be found in visual impairment. And I think this is a lot of difficulty in autism. A lot of our kids have behaviorisms like arm flapping, rocking. They're really sensory stimulating behaviors that can be confused with autism. So that's definitely a label that our kids get considered for a lot. And I think as TVIs, we need to ask ourselves, is this really autism? Or is it a visual impairment? Overall, I thought you guys did really great in Unit 8. At the end of this unit, make sure to turn in Planet of the Blind paper. I think it's on the 5th that it's due. All right, so this unit is on the ECC Expanded Core Curriculum, and the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired says, the ECC provides knowledge, concepts, and skills typically learned incidentally by sighted students that must be sequentially presented to the student who is blind or has low vision. So this is a really important definition because people often ask us, oh, who needs the ECC, right? So the Expanded Core Curriculum is an additional set of curriculum we need to teach kids with visual impairments because they're not getting it through their incidental vision. And that's it in a nutshell. There's 9 different areas of the ECC. There's compensatory skills, which actually includes Braille and abacus and a bunch of different compensatory skills. Sensory efficiency. People have asked me, like, what does that look like? What is sensory efficiency? And sensory efficiency is one of my favorite things to teach. It's fun. You can have someone hide a beep ball and really refine those auditory skills by having the kid find a beep ball. You can use visual efficiency by just increasing their scanning skills, and tactile efficiency, those pre-Braille skills, trying to differentiate between different textures. That's all sensory efficiency. Orientation and mobility. Hopefully you guys all continue on and become orientation mobility specialists. I really think, I wasn't sure at the beginning, but I think being a orientation mobility specialist has made me a better TVI. I really believe that. Social interaction skills. Our kids really, oh wow, this video, I didn't notice, is kind of spooky all in itself, isn't it? Ooh, it's a window behind me. But social interaction, our kids definitely need increased instruction in social skills. Assistive technology, this is a huge one. We need to make sure that because technology levels the playing field, that our kids know how to use technology. Independent living skills, all those skills you guys learned about in your first assignment, how to make yourself dinner, how to figure out which can is the chili and which can is the dog food. These are the skills that our kids need to know. Recreation and leisure is also something we need to explicitly teach. Things like gardening, sewing, anything. Physical education falls under this. This is very, very important. A lot of our kids do not have very good physical education skills. Career education, very important, and self-determination. These are the 9 areas of the ECC. So for this unit, I'd like you guys to work in groups. I've put you in groups of 4, and I'd like you to collaborate to create a presentation. Can it either be a PowerPoint or a Prezi or a Powtoon? I don't know if you guys know about Powtoons, but they're really fun. You can check out, it's like powtoon.com. But I don't care what kind of presentation format you use. I'd like you to present on one area of the ECC, and I'd like you to describe 5 ways to teach this area within the instruction of another ECC. And I think it's really important to double up because there's not enough time in the day. In fact, the biggest criticism of the ECC is teachers saying, I don't have enough time in the day to be teaching all this. But you can get really creative, and you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. So you can be teaching, for instance, Braille instruction. At the same time, you can be teaching gardening, right? Because you can be working on reading and writing all about gardening, and then going out and gardening, making a list of all the supplies you'd need for gardening. And you can throw in orientation and mobility too, because the kids got to get to and from the garden. These are just kind of some of the things that you could be working on, but I think it's really important that the only way to hit every area of the ECC, and we really make sure we need to hit every area, the only way we can do that is by doubling up or tripling up, or more. Get creative. I also want you to give me different descriptions of children, because kids with additional disabilities, they need the ECC too. And I think sometimes we really just focus on our Braille students. We want to make sure this video has really gotten spooky, hasn't it? Happy Halloween. Anyway, so I want to make sure that you guys focus on providing ECC instruction to those kids with additional disabilities too. So please give me some description on which kids this may work for, including low vision, Braille students, additional disability kiddos, all of that. All right, and have a great Halloween. Enjoy some candy. Steal some if you have to, and parents, if you have children. All parents have children, don't they? Steal some candy if you have to. That's all I'm saying. Have a great week. Bye.